Hello everyone, I'm Dr. Tasneem Bano Rehman, Associate Professor at Sage University, Bhopal. Welcome you all in the next video on design thinking. And today I'm going to be talking about storyboarding. Yes, storyboarding, which is one of the essential steps of design thinking process, where all the team members are on the same page. So let's get started and take a look at today's content. So today we'll understand more about storyboarding, its example, structure, the process involved in creating story, and a storyboard outcome. So a storyboard is especially useful in the early prototyping phase to present solutions in their context and to make them comprehensible for others. So here you can see a storyboard communicate a concept by visualizing user interactions. They use the art of the narrative to focus on a person's experience of using your service. Perhaps the best part about storyboards is that they are cheap. Instead of developing costly technology and hiring people to prototype your concept, a pen and a paper is really all that's required to create a storyboard. Furthermore, when you are introducing something unfamiliar, pictures are easy to grasp. There are always three common storyboard elements regardless of the form. The first common element is a specific scenario, second is the visuals, and the third is the corresponding caption. So a storyboard tells a sequence of events using images, drawing, and collages. These can be used to illustrate the user experience with a service or a product. So what is the goal of a storyboard? So the goal is it is intended to illustrate user experience in the context in order to provoke discussion about weakness and opportunities for improvement. Storyboards make it possible to visualize the user's perspective and gain useful feedback. So here you can see four pictures that's displaying a relationship between a cub and his father, the lion. They are having some some talk, some discussion is going on. Maybe by just looking at the second image we can just conclude that the cub is requesting. This is a picture of the movie that you might have seen, The Lion King. So the cub is requesting his father for something, and father didn't like it, the kind of expressions it is giving here, and then he walked off. So that is, the way we can create the storyboard, and which will be easy for others to understand. Now, as I told you, there were three basic elements of a story structure. The first is a scenario. So storyboards are based on a scenario or a user story. The persona or role that corresponds to that scenario is clearly specified at the top of the storyboard. A short text description of the scenario is also included. The description of the scenario or story is clear enough that a team member or a stakeholder could understand what is depicted before looking at the visuals. In the previous example, you must have seen a scenario where, the cub and the lion is having a conversation. So that kind of scenario is quite visible by looking at the pictures. Then the visuals will give you in details the expressions, the feelings that are being displayed. So each step in the scenario is represented visually in a sequence. The steps can be sketches, illustrations, or photos. Depending on the purpose of the storyboard and on its audience, these images can be quick, low fidelity drawings, or elaborate, high fidelity artifacts. Images includes, if you're confused about the fidelity, you can view my previous video on prototyping where I explain low fidelity and high fidelity. Images include details relevant to the story, such as what the user's environment looks like, the speech bubbles with codes from the user, or a sketch of the screen that the user is interacting with. So these visuals will give you more detailing about the pictures that are used to build up a story. Next is the caption. Each visual has a corresponding caption. The caption describes the user's action, environment, emotional state, device, and so on. Because the images is the primary content in a storyboard, captions are concise and don't typically exceed 2 bullet points. The captions need to be short and small because the entire content is quite visible with the pictures and the images that we are using in. The next is once you are aware of those 3 elements, now we are ready to start the storyboarding. So these are the various steps that are involved to create a storyboard. First is gather your data. So gather your data, it involves the user interviews and the expert groups or surveys. The one that we have collected through user research. So that is the data that we'll be using to create a storyboard. Next is the fidelity level. You need to choose your fidelity level. Again, if you are not clear about it, please watch my previous video. So it uses sketches to quickly draw a sequence or communicate a scene to your team during a brainstorming meeting. In such ideation meetings, you can even create storyboards collaboratively with sticky notes to get each team member's perspective, because if you're working in a team, you need to understand each and every member's perspective, and once each and every member is on the same page, things are quite easy and smooth. So draw each steps on a sticky notes and place on a whiteboard or a wall. You can designate one person to draw or multiple people can draw, as long as the discussion is happening as a group. It's a group activity. Having multiple team members present during this process will bring up ideas that a single role won't necessarily think about. For example, a marketing or a business focused team member may contribute a step like a trigger of a marketing email or coupon. So that's how a team can come up with the multiple ideas, and then the rest of the team didn't have all the things in their mind. So it's people with different or various varying background can help in bringing this entire storyboarding process. So this method also gives you the flexibility to change the sequence of events by rearranging sticky notes, especially if you are still adjusting the story timeline without having to redraw the entire storyboards. The third step is define the basics. So define the persona and the scenario or user story represented. The scenario should be specific and should correspond to a single user path so that your storyboard doesn't split into multiple directions. Fourth is plan out steps. Start by writing out the steps and connecting them with arrows before going straight to the storyboard template. Next, you can add the emotional state as an icon to each step. This technique will help you start to visualize what each visual frame will include. Next is create visuals and add captions. Add captions as a bullet point underneath the visuals to describe additional context that is not understood at first glance. Your storyboard should be in an easy to modify format so that you can make changes in further iterations if necessary. And the last is distribute and iterate. Distribute your storyboard to your audience, whether it's your internal team or the stakeholders of the project, and ask for feedback. If necessary, iterate over some of these steps to improve the artifacts. So let's take an example so as to understand the entire process. If you're not good in drawing, sketching part, no issues. You can use emojis and some bulleted points that will help you in understanding the entire story. Use arrows. So here you can see there's a persona, that's a James, and the scenario is replenish office supplies. So initially James take a physical inventory of the supply closet and notes items needed on clipboard. Then he need to be more focused because he will be jotting down all the necessary inventory. So James create an order by picking items from favorites list via his office desktop computers, checks of items on clipboard. So you can see the emoji, that's focused part. Now next is James add the shipment arrival date to calendar from confirmation message, and now he's smiling because the entire job is completed. So that's how each and every member of a team can understand how the process or how the product will be built up or will be completed. So for those who are less artistically inclined, the idea of putting pen to paper and drawing can be nerve-wracking. So below are some simple shapes that you can practice drawing. These are the basic elements needed if you want to create a storyboard. So you can see the rectangle, setting, stick figure, speech, thoughts, tools can be used to create a storyboard. So now the outcome. So storyboard should convey what all things. Of course, it will convey all the people involved, the environment, what's the task being accomplished. So let's say if we take an example of a tree house. So for the tree house, what's the environment, who are the people involved in building up the tree house, and once the task is being accomplished, then who will take the benefit out of that. So you can think in that direction and let me know by writing your answers in the comment box. Now, storyboard should convey the sequence, what steps are involved, what leads someone to use the app, service, product, and what task is being illustrated. Again, I would request you to please write down the answer of these 3 questions, and of course, it will clear up all your concepts. Then storyboard should convey satisfaction. What motivates people to use the system? What does it enable people to accomplish, and what need does the system fill? So by taking the example of the tree house, building up a tree house, who will get the advantage? Of course, the tree house is meant for children, kids to enjoy, to have fun. So with all these three questions in each outcome, please let me know. So that's it for today's video, and I hope that storyboard is now clear to all. I hope you are now in a state to create your own storyboards. Thanks to all, and do like and share it. Take care and see you soon.